Hey, good morning. Good morning. We are live a couple minutes behind. Not behind, right on time. Maybe we didn't start out at the start that we should have, but we made it. We sure did. I got Murphy. I like to call him Murph Magic. He's my little boy. Gonna maybe one day grow up to be a great player. Maybe he'll just grow up to be a great man. We already think that's gonna happen. Knowing and thinking is two different things, but believing, you got to believe in something. And I believe in this little guy. So, this is a 49er Coffee Talk. Appreciate you coming. If you got a little one and you want to grab up and, grab a cold drink or something nice to, preferably whatever is comfortable for you. This morning I'm drinking some ice water. It's always good to have water. Sometimes I drink coffee. Coffee's good. Again, I got Murphy this morning just for a little while. The house is waking up. Everybody's doing what they got to do to get ready for the day. So, how is everybody doing today? It's Saturday, and we have just a couple more days till football. How many more days do we have till football? We have, I think the home opener is the 10th. I think we get a game on the 7th, I believe. So we are, what, 4 games? 4 games away from home opener, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I know for sure we have a game. We have a game on the 10th, and that's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. So, guys, we have a lot to go over. Currently, we have a new kicker, but he's been signed to the practice squad. There's been 2 reports that's come out that said, "Hey, hey, we got a wolf sighting." He's still asleep. That's funny. Um, Appreciate you coming, Wolf. Hey, if you want, drop in, man. I don't mind. You're in your pajamas. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Cut it up for a second if you want. If not, you just hold up and enjoy the cereal. And we got Steve O. Look at that. Steve O and Wolf. Thank you guys for coming. So this morning we're gonna talk about like the kicker a little bit and what was reported. Kyle said that Moody's on track, but they are signing a kicker and they don't want to have to push him. They want him to be ready for week 2 at least. So week 2 is coming, and we got to get through week 1 first, obviously. But if we don't need the practice kicker, we're not going to play him. If Moody is ready to go, we're going to go. And that's what he says. He says I'm feeling better and better, and I look forward to being able to be out there. I'm hoping I'll be out there. But it sounds like Kyle is going to keep him on the bench for 1 week and let this new guy go out there and kick, which wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. It really wouldn't be. All right, so we're going to talk about that when we get some more people in here, and we're going to break down what I have for my picks this week. So Detroit versus Kansas City. I'm taking Kansas City. I think Detroit can upset. I think they can. I think that would be something. But you have to look at, I think they had some suspensions on their wide receiver side, and I think they just lost a quarterback. And it's not their starting quarterback, but they still that that takes away from game preparation and all kinds of other little things when you lose somebody that is that close to a starting player. And then we are playing Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina could win this game. You win the game for your first coach. Like brand new coach. We're gonna go and win it for you, dude. Well, that could happen. That really could. But I think Atlanta, home field advantage, home opener, people are going to be excited about their birds. And I think that's just where we're going to be at. Oh, Murphy's getting excited. You hear that? Okay, so next game is Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cincinnati is really, really good. Really, really good. But I think Cleveland can win this game. So just to recap, I took Kansas City, Atlanta, and now I'm taking Cleveland. I think Deshaun Watson could have a game here, a game that he can play really well and surprise people. He is a good quarterback, and people seem to have forgotten that because he's went to the Browns, and I don't think that's all the reason. I really don't. I think he just needed a little bit more practice time. All right, our next game is Jacksonville at Indianapolis, and why am I choosing Jacksonville? Duval Valley, Trevor Lawrence. He's got that hair. Looks like sunshine from Remember the Titans. That guy, he just can fling it. He is a really, really good quarterback. He was born a good quarterback. They went into the doctor's office and they said, well, you're having a boy. And you're not just having a boy, you are having a quarterback. So Trevor Lawrence has been playing football all of his life, and he has been like the number one rated quarterback in his entire life. He is the next upcoming um, upcoming Peyton Manning. He is that new, he is that new. So we're going to move on to Tampa Bay now and Minnesota. And Tampa Bay could win this game. They really, really could. I think they have a good chance, but because they're going to Minnesota and they have a new quarterback, is Baker Mayfield could go up there and cook. He can definitely do it. But I'm looking at Minnesota to start out the year with a W. They could fall on their face. They are Minnesota, but I think Minnesota's just going to be. They're just going to start out. They're going to start out hot. So our next game is Tennessee versus New Orleans. Now, if this game was at Tennessee, I'd feel a little bit more different about it. Tennessee still has Derrick Henry, King Henry, and their problem is they got a quarterback problem. Tennessee has no quarterback, and until they can develop a quarterback, it doesn't matter who they get for their wide receivers. Their running back, he can. Oh my gosh, their running back deserves more. Henry really does. But now we're looking at New Orleans, and New Orleans upgraded their quarterback. You imagine if Tennessee could have went and got Derek Carr, that would have been almost, that would have been deadly. It really would have been. Derek Carr can still throw the ball down deep. He has that Southern accent. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. When he first was in the league, he didn't have a Southern accent. Now he has a little bit of draw in his voice. And it happened before he left California. So we were like, hey, where'd you get that from? Come on, buddy. So we're going with New Orleans in this situation. I think New Orleans has a really, really tight knit group. Their offensive weapons, their wide receivers there are really good. They're big, they're fast, and this is exactly what's going to help Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, oh my gosh, Derek Carr to be able to just throw deep, throw to these guys, get them open, let them, do what they need to do. And they have a good defense. He's going to be playing on AstroTurf just like he was in Las Vegas, so he's comfortable with that. I think New Orleans takes the win on this one. All right, the game of the week, the game that we're all talking about, right? San Francisco versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't lose at week one. They don't lose week one at home. They typically win their home openers. Their coach knows how to win. This is in Pittsburgh, so it's going to be really loud for the fans. The fans are going to come out. This is like their beginning. And if they can knock us off, because we've been getting to the Super Bowl or championship game, we've been making the playoffs, we are a really good team right now. So if they can start out by knocking us out, that's going to give their team a lot of confidence and say, hey, we're a lot better than people are thinking we are. So right now we don't have a kicker. We might have a kicker. We'll see. We don't have Bosa, so we need to figure out that if we're going to have Bosa, then that's going to be great. Things can change a whole lot. But if Bosa needs to be in camp so he can play. Bosa needs to be in training camp or preseason, practices. He needs to be there so he can play, so he can get practice shape. He's in weight training shape, but he's not in practice shape. So you got somebody like Bosa who could be there or could not be there. It might give an opportunity for some of our other guys to come in and step in. But for right now, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity for the Niners to put their thoughts to the side and say, whatever we need just to get this guy in. And go pay him. Go pay Bosa. Let's see how much it's going to really cost. And they know how much it's going to cost. The fans, we can speculate and we can throw out numbers and stuff. But at the end of the day, if they pay him 31 or they pay him 40 million, us fans have nothing to say about it and really nothing to gripe about it. Pay the guy what he wants to get paid so he can come in and he can wreak havoc on these quarterbacks. Last year he got 18.5 sacks. The year before he got 15. So we need a Bosa. We need a Bosa out there. It's kind of like, you remember the Marvel movies with Iron Man and he looked at Loki and he was like, who did he look at? He looked at one of the supervillains and was like, well, we have a Hulk. That's our Bosa. We have a Bosa. He comes in, he smashes, he does what he does, and he takes care of business. And if we can't get Bosa in there, I don't know what our chances, or feel very strong about our chances, because right now it's not fun at all, because we just keep getting ran up the middle, and it's the Niners have to stop getting rushed on. And if what's up, Crazy Juice? Thank you for coming. Right now in preseason, I know they weren't trying to get anybody hurt out there, and they weren't trying to do anything to necessarily, let people know exactly. Thank you. It was Loki. Because we have a Bosa. We don't have a Hulk. We have a Bosa. So bring him, and let's get him in. The reason we just need to get this done is he is a key member of our team. And we let this guy go because of a money situation, a dollar situation. It really is going to tell the rest of the team, we're not going to pay you. We don't care how good you are. We're not going to pay you. And I think that's completely wrong. Oh, we got Murphy down here, and he is getting a little fussy, getting excited, actually. Not fussy. So without Bosa there, I don't know what our chances are. I just don't feel that great about it. We might really go in there and be okay, but they have to stop the run. And again, in preseason, they weren't stopping the run. They were letting the guys run right through the gaps. And again, maybe it's because it's preseason and they just wanted to give them the ball and let them go so we could get the ball back and let our offense go out there to work. But I don't think that's necessarily the case either. I think they just needed to. I think they need to realize what they're doing. And again, it's preseason, so they don't really care. But when you go out there and you put that tape out there for people to see it, then there's concern. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm concerned that we're going to get ran on a lot by Pittsburgh. But I'm still taking the 49ers to win it. And crazy as it sounds, I'm going to take it by a field goal because I think we have an opportunity to win this game. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a big blowout. Oh my gosh, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win like 34-28, somewhere around there. I think it will be by a field goal. It will be something really close. So I want Bosa back. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Arizona and Washington. And this game could be a lot funner than it is. But Arizona just keeps on coming out and saying different things and doing what they're doing that shows that they're tanking. And if you're tanking, then really, this is what you want to do, and why? Because you want a number one draft pick. You have a number one draft pick, and you're not doing anything with Kyler Murray. You're letting him play video games. So let you guys do whatever you guys are going to do. I don't think it's necessarily the best decision for you, but and I really feel for your fans, because when you just let everybody know that you're going to tank, why even turn the game on for that? But Washington is an up-and-coming team, and Washington sounds like they are on the right track. They might not be the ones that can take the East. They might not be able to beat Dallas or the Eagles or the Giants, but they might be able to split with them. And that's what's interesting, is because if you can split with them, you have an opportunity to, make some noise, and maybe you can take down some of the other teams. If you can take down some of the other teams, you can make yourself into the playoffs. Usually the NFC East is won by what, 9-8 record, an 9-7 record. They're above 500. It's just, they've been knotted up that way for a while now. Each one of them play each other really hard, and it's just really hard for them to really just sweep the division. The Eagles got really lucky last year, but that doesn't happen all the time. And the Eagles, they got really lucky last year. They had a couple different quarterbacks as well who played for them. People forget that too. The Eagles had to use 2 quarterbacks. So it's one of those things. Washington, it's going to be at home. I see them really coming out, new ownership, and just taking it all the way. So, okay, our next game is Houston and Baltimore. So Houston is very interesting because they got a new coach. We know him. We know him, D'Amico. And then we have let me bring in Eric Wallace for a second. I think this is the first time he's come in.
Hey, what's up, Bryant?
Hey, Eric. Thanks for coming.
Hey, bud.
I'm doing pretty good. If you don't mind, if you want to stick around with me, and we'll break down the rest of the schedule, and you let me know who you think's going to win. We'll speed it up real quick for you. Detroit, Kansas City. Who do you think is going to win?
Gotta say Kansas City.
All right, Carolina, Atlanta.
Which one?
Carolina and Atlanta.
I'm gonna take Carolina just for the heck of it.
All right, I can see that. They got a new coach. All right, next one, Cincinnati and Cleveland.
I'm thinking Cincinnati there, bud.
Cincinnati, okay. Now, what's your thoughts on Jacksonville and Indianapolis?
I would love to pick Indy, but Jacksonville.
Yeah, I can see that. Indy could come out and win. They have a new coach and they have a new quarterback, and they could just really shock the world there. All right, so Tampa Bay and Minnesota.
Well, Brady's not there, so let's go Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. Tennessee and New Orleans.
Let's say New Orleansville.
Yeah, New Orleans, huh? New Orleans.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously you know who I'm probably rooting for on this one: San Francisco and Pittsburgh.
Oh man,
this is a hard one. This really is.
I know. I mean, and especially for me because I got a good friend of mine that's a Pittsburgh fan, so I'm. And then there's you guys, and you guys are great people too. So, oh man, I'm gonna say Pittsburgh, but close.
Yeah, I agree. Pittsburgh wins in home. They win at home. It's just really hard to beat them there. So, and this is week one. I can see it happening. Arizona at Washington.
Who's quarterback now for Arizona?
Rookie now, I believe, because a rookie because he is. They sent away Colt McCoy and Kyler Murray is still hurt, I believe. I can Google it. I'll Google it real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm just not really sold on Arizona right now because they are tanking.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Washington for that very reason.
Okay. Who will be the Cardinals starting quarterback? Joshua Dobbs. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's pick Washington.
Yeah, I like that Sam Howell that they got. So, all right. So the one where I was getting into, and you just got here, Houston at Baltimore.
That's another tough one. I mean, two good young quarterbacks. But Baltimore, but I know that Stroud is going to get better.
So Houston has a new coach, and they do have a new quarterback, I believe. I got to Google their
yeah.
But I think this is Baltimore. I think this is Baltimore's opportunity for them to come in and say, hey, whatever happened last season was last season. Lamar up a little bit. He did want to get paid. Now that's all out of the way. Now it's time to go play football. So I'd like to see Baltimore bounce back this season. I really do feel it. I think they're going to win their home opener.
Yeah.
All right. So our next game is Green Bay at Chicago. So, how do you feel about the new love in Green Bay?
I think Jordan's going to do okay that first game.
I think he's going to win. I'm not big fans of Chicago. I think Justin Fields is a great quarterback. I think he can be really, really good. But right now, he's still in Chicago, and it's going to take a long time for Chicago to turn around. I think they can be a lot better than they were last year or the year before. But I think I think they're sleeping on Green Bay right now because Aaron Rodgers isn't there, and they're not giving this guy Love any credit. And I got a lot of uncles that are Green Bay fans, so I like the Packers. I like beating the Packers more than anything. I always like the
yeah.
so. But this is going at Chicago. It's not that far away from Green Bay, so this isn't really like a serious road trip for them. It's a divisional week 1 opener, so I think they want to start the game out right, the season out right. I'm taking Packers. So we're going to Las Vegas. Well, we're going to be the Raiders. The Raiders are going to Denver. And what's your thoughts on that? The Raiders versus the Broncos.
Whoa. I'm torn. I would love to pick the Raiders because I can't stand Russell Wilson, but I just feel like he's going to be okay. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be picking Denver.
All right. I'm not somebody that's opposed to Russell Wilson. I think he still has a lot to prove and a lot to do. But I talked to Joe Stevens a lot. I talked to Ryan a lot, and they've been bringing up some points that Russell hasn't really been playing in the playbook. He's been playing like outside of the playbook. And I know you're a Seahawk fan, so did you see that? Did you see him playing like Seattle football, or did he play like backyard football all the time? What's your thoughts on that?
I think at first he appeared to be playing from the actual playbook, and then he started. I think the big thing for me was when that first contract came up, he was, my dad's like, there's no way he's going to be taking all the money because he knows how important it is, and then he did it. And so we were kind of surprised about that. And then they had that second contract, and that was even more stupid than the first one was. So I think maybe backyard, yeah.
So when they had brought that point up, it kind of brings new light to like my thoughts on Russell Wilson. I think he's still a good player, but it sounds like if he gets back there and scrambles a little bit and buys time, somebody will get open, and the guy can weave and wob and bob, or he can definitely dodge, right? So he's elusive in the backfield. We've seen our quarterbacks, our rushers, try to get out there and get him, and it's not been necessarily fun for us. He looks like a squirrel out there sometimes. He just can, or a cat. He just can get out of any situation. So I like the Raiders in this one. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has something to prove. Week 1.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think the interception, the safety, the pick 8, whatever you want to call it. Him stepping out of bounds in Denver. I think that's gonna wear really hard on him. And I think with the new team, he can go in there and kind of like erase what happened. He won't ever erase it. He's always gonna be in the Hall of Shame for that. But I think if he can go in there and put a good game together, this is a statement game for him and his Raiders this season. So I think it would help him more if he goes in and wins than the Broncos win. Because
what? That's a good point. I'm gonna flip from Denver to the Raiders. I really think that Jimmy's has a lot to show.
Yeah, I think the Raiders have a good defense, which they could stop Russell Wilson from doing his little breakdown where he runs right through the middle. See, what I've seen with Russell is, especially when he plays the Niners, he does a 3 or 7 step drop. Most of the time I see a 7 step drop, but he'll drop back, and then all the wide receivers will take off down the field, and the offensive line will just open up like that. and then they open up a little bit more, right? And he runs right through one of these gaps. And our linebackers are so far down the field, he'll pick up 20 yards just running down the field. But I think the Raiders have what, Matt Crosby, I think it is, and they got some players. I think that's going to be able to stop that. So I agree. I think the Raiders could go in there and make some noise. But Denver, again, they got Sean Payton and they have Russell Wilson, but I think that might take them a couple weeks before they're in sync.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Eric, we got Philadelphia and New England. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Philly's here.
Philly?
Yeah.
I'm going to take New England because it's New England. This is Belichick. I think he's had most of the time to stop there and say, okay, how am I going to stop Hurts, and what am I going to do here? So I'm not gonna say New England can't get it done. I think they get it done week 1. I think whoever they put out there at quarterback too, it's probably going to be Mac Jones, but I think he's gonna have some kind of gimmick play like what Shanahan ran with Mac Jones, so he can say, "Look, I can get it done. This is how you stop. This is how you do it." So, Steve-O, good morning. How are you doing this day?
Tired.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here. And what's your thoughts? Philadelphia or New England? Pass. All right.
I'd probably go Philly.
All right.
Are you doing the point spreads or just straight up?
We're just running it down real quick. If you want to throw out a point spread, you can. So the next game is Miami at LA Chargers. What do you think, Eric?
I'm thinking Chargers only because I think Herbert's gonna have a good season.
I think Miami can start out really fast, but I think this is LA's game to win. I think this is their first game of the season. This should be a pretty neutral crowd for both of them, but I think the Chargers can really make a statement in this game if they could come out, and slow down the Dolphins. Steve-O, what's your thoughts? Miami or LA?
I think Miami got a lot better. The Chargers are still like sitting in idle. You know what I mean? We're waiting for them to do something. They had an issue with the running back last year. I'm gonna, and I don't know if Corey Davis. I said in my picks last week. I don't know if he's writing them down. We're supposed to keep track of that themselves. So I might differ from what I sent to him, but I'm not going to keep track of that myself. But on this one, I would say Miami.
Yeah, I could see it because Miami, again, they could come in really fast and stuff. The one thing I think they have as a disadvantage is the travel. It's all the way across the country. So, but I got the Chargers on this one. Okay, so the next one, LA Rams at Seattle. What do you think, Eric? You're going with Seattle, right?
Yeah, I believe so here. Yeah,
I'm going Seattle. The Rams. I don't think the Rams are going to be very good this season, and it's at Seattle. I don't think Seattle's losing a home opener.
Yeah.
Good morning, David.
Morning.
Steve-O, what's your thoughts? Seattle or Los Angeles? LA going to Seattle. That's not super big travel distance, but that still is rough.
Well, the Rams are 5-point underdogs, and I'm not going to watch one play of this game, but I'm going to go with Seattle.
David, what we're doing is, why everybody was coming, I just started running through the list of, the Corey Davis's show the other day, who I was picking. And Eric popped in. So what's your thoughts? I think we know Seattle, LA Rams versus Seattle. You taking Seattle?
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle. Did you not see the Rams lose 41-0 to the Broncos?
That was it? Oh, I thought it was more.
Oh boy!
They gave him the mercy rule. Okay.
I know. It's like I keep saying that for Thursday night games because a lot of them end up being trash. Like there needs to be a mercy rule, but
All righty. Dallas at New York Giants. What do you think, Eric?
I'm gonna say Dallas.
I could see it. I definitely could see it. I'm taking the Giants. I think the Giants are going to be a lot better than people think, and I think every year Dallas is overrated. They might not be so overrated, but I just don't want to root for Dallas. Steve, what's your thoughts? Dallas at New York.
You know, when it comes to betting, this is one of the games I hate to bet on because these rivalry games, it's literally a toss up every other year. It's it's the same thing. But I did hear that Dallas has a guy that has a lot of high ceilings, so I'm gonna go with them. Too soon?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh
All right.
boy.
David, what do you think? Dallas or Giants?
I'm taking the Giants because it's at home, and if you remember last year, they started off hot. So, and it's game one. On top of that, they have a better coach than Dallas.
I'm agreeing. I like the Giants. Okay, so let's go Buffalo and the Jets. The last game, this is Monday night, which makes it really interesting because we see the Giants in Dallas. That was, I imagine, the Sunday night game, and then you play Buffalo and the Jets in the same stadium one day later. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So Buffalo, the battle for New York, the New York State at New York Jets. Well, New Jersey. What do you think? What do you think, Eric? Who's got this game?
I think down the line it's going to be, the rest of the year it's going to probably be Buffalo, but I just think that there's no way that Aaron Rodgers is going to lose that first game. So we're going to say Jetsville.
I'm going Jets. I think it's going to be Niners versus Jets in the Super Bowl. That's what I've been saying all year. But I can see the Buffalo Bills winning this game. But I'm in agreement with you. I think Aaron Rodgers comes out. This is going to be like a statement game. He doesn't have to put up 1 billion points, but he's definitely going to win this game. What do you think, Steve-O?
Well, this is definitely one game I'm going to be watching. I think it's the game of the week for me. I mean, you got Salah and what he's doing there. Aaron Rodgers is there now. A lot of people are down on Buffalo this year. I like them still, but I'm going to give the edge to Buffalo.
All right. David, what do you think? Is Buffalo going to be the new New York team? Are they the real New York team? Or is the Jets going to make a statement?
So Buffalo's kind of at a disadvantage here. They do have a good football team. Jets have a good defense, and they improved on that good defense. But they have no tape on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do on the Jets with that offense. They have nothing. So the Jets are going in with a slight advantage because the Bills just don't have. I'm sure they have a plan on how they're going to, defend whatever happens, but at the same time, they don't know what's going to happen. So I'm picking the Jets, just for the fact that the Bills don't have anything on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do in that Jets offense.
Aren't they also on Hard Knocks or something like that? The Jets.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, David, because you don't know what they're gonna do. They're a brand new team. Brand new team with a veteran quarterback who knows how to manipulate defenses. So this is why I wanted Aaron for such a long time, because I'm like, this guy can come in and oh my gosh. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. What would be the worst team to see Bosa go to? I'm going to say the Jets. And the reason I'm going to say the Jets is because I think if he had Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field, they got two guys that are just going to, oh my gosh, dominate both sides of the field. So, Eric, we know about our Bosa situation. What team would be the worst situation for the 49ers for him to go to?
I mean, I really don't know that answer. I mean, one could stay out here, but I don't really want to say that. So
Well, no, you could say Seattle. That's not, if he went to Seattle, it'd be really bad for us.
yeah,
I don't know if we could recover if you guys got him. I don't really know if we could do that.
yep.
Steve, what do you think? What would be a team that
I think he might be frozen this moment.
Oh, you might be frozen, Steve.
Oh no, nope.
Oh, no,
He
I'm here.
blinked.
I was just, I'm on a 3-second delay in my head, and I wasn't sure if you asked the question. I thought you did.
So if we can't keep Bosa or if we have to trade him, something bad happens, what would be the worst team for the 49ers to see him go to?
Yeah, that's what I thought you said, and then I had this bottle sitting here, and I thought about hitting myself against the head with it. Like I was just like, we just had this, like, you guys had a show last night. It's like we're talking about if Kyle doesn't win the Super Bowl, like how many years? Why are we even putting that into existence? Like not winning now, why are we talking about putting Bosa on another team now? Like, why would we do that? I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna think about that.
All
You know
right.
what I mean? It's like if my ex wanted to go with somebody else, who would I want her to be with? Like, no, we're gonna stay together.
No, but not necessarily who you would want him to go to. What would be the worst situation for the Niners? Like him going to Dallas, him going to,
I would consider it equal to me. No matter where he went, it would be an equal loss.
I can see that. I agree with that. All right, David, if you want to give an answer, if you don't, that's fine. But what team would you hate to see Bosa go to?
So John Lynch himself said we're not trading him.
We're not trading him. I believe it.
And Pete Carroll pulled that stuff with Russell Wilson, but that was posturing to get everything they could. At this point, the contract's not signed. I'm waiting for news. I've been watching, not on the hour, every hour, but every couple hours I check 49ers news just to see what happens. And I don't want to see him go anywhere.
No.
He doesn't need to go anywhere.
No.
Any destination he goes to is going to be bad for us, especially in the NFC. We don't need him to go to the NFC. He don't need to go anywhere. So, no, I have no good answer for that question.
Let me rephrase it. Do you guys think that Bosa would want to be traded? Do you think that maybe, I don't know, he was a Trey Lance guy? Do you think maybe he doesn't like to do defensive coordinator? Is there a reason that Bosa might have that he doesn't want to come to the Niners?
I think he probably it's gonna get figured out, and I feel like he's gonna come back to the Niners. I mean, but I wonder what's been hold up. I mean,
right now they're saying $4 million.
Wow.
$4 million. I mean, like you're a the Niners are $1 billion company, right? Why can't we give up $4 million? I mean, like, John some money on the side or something. Like, come on, like.
I mean, they gotta have that kind of money on them, Joette. I just do it because he is very important to your defense.
Yes, he is the biggest impact on the defense out of everyone,
except for the last month. But that's cool.
Oh man, if he would have been just had a little bit more help that last month, he would have got that sack record. But he's so close. So
I'd like to see them actually rotate in other players every now and again when we don't need his pass rush, or in certain situations, like we're actually up on a team big. Let's just not play the guy. Let's rest him a little bit, keep him fresh. I'd like to see that a little more, but you have to have depth to do that. And right now that they let like Jordan Willis, you know, Ed Bucom was expensive. I could understand them letting him go. Menahu, he got a little spendy too. But isn't Jordan Willis a free agent right now? Didn't he get cut? I'm gonna look at this. I think he got cut.
I thought he was gone for a minute.
I think he signed with like the Raiders or someone.
You know, I think what it is with Bosa's signing is taking so long is I read an article that the Brinks trucks, they have this this chip that's on back order and it should be in a couple of days, and that's the only reason what's holding everything up. You know, those chips, because they're separate from our regular cars because it's a Brinks truck. So that's what the problem is.
Yeah,
yes, Jordan Willis is a free agent right now. He got cut by the Raiders.
Oh, he got cut. Okay, because in March they did sign him, so that's interesting.
And he doesn't do bad. I mean, he doesn't get a ton of sacks, but he gets the pressures, you know, and forces the QB over to the other guys. Or you know, he doesn't do bad. He knows our system, the wide nine. So
yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. They got to get it done. If they don't get it done, then this is going to be like 2 big mistakes for this season. You made a mistake with Trey Lance. However you handled it, it was a mistake, and now you've made a mistake with Bosa. So,
well, the issue. Excuse me 1 second.
because if they were going to, they did with Trey Lance. They could have done
You
it.
remember that touchdown throw against the Broncos, right? Late in the game. The one we got a flag for because Debo, Ayuk, and everyone ran onto the field. They were excited.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Kyle listened to the locker room. You know, I thought whatever the locker room was saying, he's like, okay, this is my team. I'm going to go with what they're saying. You know, because of the whole don't rotate Trey Lance and you're messing up James Richard Garoppolo's rhythm. You know, that thing. I thought him he'd listen to the locker room a little more than he should. And then all those guys run onto the field. They're all obviously supporting Trey Lance. And the Niners end up trading him. I'm honestly thinking that it wasn't necessarily we don't we can't develop a quarterback and we don't want a split locker room is why I think they actually traded him.
You know, I've watched that video and I don't see Ayuk excited for Trey Lance like everybody keeps saying. Like, he's not running towards Trey Lance, he's running towards the guy who Latu.
Yeah.
I watched it a bunch of times, and he doesn't go up straight up run to the middle to the ball and everything like that. But I don't see how people are saying that was towards Trey Lance at all. And I've spent more time than I should on it, but I'm trying to figure out why people are saying that. You know,
I seen the same. I seen what you're saying, Steve-O, and I'm not trying to, what David says, a lot of people agree with and say, hey, they were all celebrating and they were happy for Trey Lance. But my initial reaction was just they were running to the wide receiver where the end zone happened. And maybe that was because, they were just, hey, let's go to the end zone and, celebrate, all together. But that's what I kind of seen is they were happy for, what is it named? Latu. But I do believe that they were just in general happy. But
yeah,
that was a veteran, penalty that a rookie would have made. You don't do that, so
I think you mean a rookie penalty a veteran made, but I got you.
Yeah, thank you. You're a veteran and you make a rookie rookie penalty, or that's something that you don't do. But if you do it, I guess you just do it in preseason when it doesn't count, right? So Deanna says, I agree with David. Part of the reason was to protect the locker room. And I think that's true. I think they had gotten to a point where if you're not going to make him the starter, people are going to start talking. And if you're going to keep him there and you're not going to play him, then people are definitely going to keep talking. Because there's an opportunity. You either go forward with the kid and you live and die with him, or you move off of him. And I don't think he liked what they said to him in the meeting room. I really don't. I think Kyle looked at him and said, well, you can ride the bench then. And he's, no, I can get traded. I'm going to get traded. You guys can trade me. And I don't know. What do you think, Eric? What do you think happened with the Trey Lance? Do you think he needed to move? Do you think the Niners should have kept him? Do you think they just burnt their bridge? You know, you're an outsider, so what's your thoughts on this?
I think that they handled that exactly the wrong way. They should have let him. If he wanted to stay, they should have let him stay.
Do you think he would have wanted to stay if they would have made him quarterback too?
You know, I feel like that would have been a good chance of that happening.
In a way, I still see him asking for a trade. I kind of really do. Because if they would have looked at him and said, "You're quarterback too, and we're going to switch you in and out like that," because they were talking about not necessarily having a solidified number 2, and every other week we're going to reevaluate and put you maybe at 2 or maybe put you at 3. And I don't think he liked that. And if Purdy stays the season, he's not going to get a chance to play. What do you think, Steve-O? How do you think it went down?
Man, the kid's book smart, right? I'm still sleeping, but if you could break down what he watched Jimmy G go through last year, he should have asked for a trade a long time ago because I've seen what they did to him.
Yeah. David, what's your thoughts on the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation? The little moment where he said, "What do you think about San Francisco's quarterback situation?"
Okay, but I'm gonna probably head out.
All right, Eric. Thanks for coming, man. You have a good morning.
All right, Eric. Take
Hey,
it easy,
Eric.
buddy.
How are you going to feel when the Niners eat sea chickens on your turf on Thanksgiving?
Oh man, you know, I feel like if Purdy's the quarterback, I really feel like it could happen because he's already shown that he can win in Seattle.
Yeah, I think it could happen. Hey, Eric, when it does or doesn't, make sure to come on. We'll talk about it. And man, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You have
No
a great
problem.
All right.
All right.
So, David McNiner, what's your thoughts on the whole quarterback situation? On what he said? You know, Jimmy's like, "What do you think about the situation in San Francisco?"
Should have said, no comment. Let's talk about the Raiders. That's what he should have said. Just,
That's what he know-
but this is James, you know,
That's-
so.
That's what he normally does. That's what he normally does.
And James goes, "Well, what do you think about the situation?" The dude says, "It's a mess." He's like, "That's putting it nicely." It's like, now, you know, he's like scorned, you know.
Yeah.
He's mad because look at the team that we had around him. You know, he could have done really good with us, and he knows it. But then we hit the playoffs. Yeah, we're talking about the playoffs. And his numbers just dip. You know, you're going against nothing but good football teams, and he did not perform like a good quarterback does. So, you know, he wasn't what we needed. If you look at Brock and, you know, his 2 playoff wins, he actually looks pretty good. You know, the Cowboys game struggled a little bit, you know, but that was the Cowboys defense got hot towards the end of the season though, and they were cooking. But still, he stepped up. They made the plays. We won that game. You know, what's going on, Twain?
What's up, man? How y'all doing?
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. His brother's a Cowboys fan, so you know this is like perfect timing for him to come in.
Yeah, I've been wanting to catch some of his stream, see how he's feeling, but I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, man. It's been well, y'all continue. I don't want to interrupt nobody.
No, it's friendly conversation. You know, we're glad you came to the panel. Asked you the same question that we kind of asked David. What's your thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo's statement, you know, about the quarterback situation? What do you think about what San Francisco's got going on? David kind of was like, he shouldn't have said anything. Let's talk about Raider football, you know, and took the high road. But, you know, what's your thoughts? You know, was he validated? Would you have liked to hear more? And just your whole overall thoughts of the situation?
So I think Jimmy it was a slight jab. He didn't go into great detail. I think he just finally had an opportunity to kind of throw a little shade. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I've been quiet behind the scenes majority of this tenure. I guess a lot of us don't understand how Kyle Shanahan coaches behind the scenes as far as his personality. We're not talking about his X's and O's. We know that he's a very smart individual who understands his scheme and what he wants from players. But I think a lot of people say that the communication or how he gives the information a little bit different, you know? And so I think Jimmy was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep my lips sealed. When it comes time for me to come play, I'll play during the off season. Hey, man, I don't really rock with you for real. George Kilden said, hey, when Jimmy G during the off season go, he's nowhere to be found. And so I think this time he had an opportunity to say, hey, man, y'all just don't know a morsel of it, you know? But if you think it's weird just from the outside looking in just a little bit, believe me, it's a lot more than what meets the eye going on behind the scenes. And so with that being said, somebody else said something last year. I think nobody really picked this up. Someone asked Jimmy Ward a question about the quarterback position during his exit interview, or I believe he was doing he was on Instagram Live, and he was doing an interview, and he said something about the quarterback position. And the only thing he said was, hey, man, if y'all only knew the politics behind these things, you will understand. And then he left it at that. And then eventually, you know, Jimmy Ward went on to go down there and play for Texans, right? And so we knew what happened last year as well when Jimmy Ward had to be switched from the safety to the nickel position, going to Kyle Shanahan, being the longest tenure player there. Beyond Armstead, beyond Jimmy Garoppolo, he had been there since the Harbaugh, right? The end of the Harbaugh situation, I believe. And so he has an understanding of that locker room and seeing different transitions of the coaches. And so I believe he was kind of hinting at something as well as far as what it is that goes on behind the scenes. And so when the trade situation came back up, I was taking the information from I know we all got our biases, right? And there's guys that you follow, but then there's other guys who I follow too. And I'm going to the Trey Lance situation. During the during the training camp, they were saying, hey, man, it's close, but I give the edge to Trey Lance. And so in my humble opinion, I thought this is what most of everybody said, you know, and heard, whether it was Matt Miyoko, Jack Hammer. You like, okay, that's cool. And my thing was this is what kind of got me perplexed. We always say, where's the reps at? Trey needs more reps. He's still raw. And I'm just thinking I'm just using common sense. If I have a player who has 1,500 throws as a pro, and I'm comparing a guy who only has 500 throws as 500 attempts as a pro, and they're neck and neck, or he's outweighing him, and I invested this much money into him, in my mind, let me stick with this guy, because if he gets to 1,500 throws like you are, and y'all even now, I can only imagine that he could be a little bit better. Plus, I've already invested such and such amount of draft picks towards this guy. So when Kyle came out one day, says, hey, this quarterback position is real tight, but we're going to battle it out one day, and says maybe we could have 1 week be Sam Darnold, and the next week it'll be Trey Lance. And then all of a sudden it went from reports get out, the decision has been made already. There's no need to have a third preseason game. Let's go ahead and go with Sam Darnold as a second. I believe this is the behind the scenes situation that people are talking about. That's like, hold on, man, what's going on really in San Francisco? And so to me, I think that's what made Trey at the end of the say, all right, man, forget it. I see how this is going. You got your guy. It wasn't really a competition for real. Let's just go ahead, cut bait with me. I don't want to have any animosity or bitterness towards you guys. Just let me go somewhere else where I can start afresh and anew. And that's what I thought as far as what happened with the Trey Lance at the end of his tenure here as a San Francisco 49er player. So that's how I kind of looked at it. And yeah, because my brother hit me up, was like, hey, man, we finna get Trey Lance. All right, just wait. I'm like, what? And then an hour later, I was like, oh, you mother sucker. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I kind of found out.
So I got 2 questions for you real quick. And it's not real quick. Take as long as you want. And hey, John, we see you there. Thank you for coming. If he would have been offered the number 2 spot, hands out, like, hey, we're gonna give you the number 2 spot. Sam's gonna be our 3rd, and we're not flopping back and forth on the games. You're our number 2. Do you think Trey still asked for a trade?
No.
Okay, I agree. I don't think he would have asked for a trade. To an extent, I think it would have depended on like if he really believed in himself and thought, I have an opportunity to play this year. And then my next question is the Cowboys, right? If you fear the Cowboys at all, right, why would you trade any player to the Cowboys, like 49ers to the Cowboys or vice versa, right? So now at this point, we are letting you go. And I'm not saying, we all know, hopefully everybody knows here, I like Trey Lance and believe he has a lot of talent. But why would you let him go to the Cowboys? I mean, the only thing I could think of is they picked up his contract. And yeah, they offered us a little bit more in a capital, but you could have traded him to Buffalo. You could have traded him to Denver. There were so many other options out there. If you really didn't think that he had value, why are you going to trade him to Dallas, where we're going to be probably playing more likely in the playoffs?
Cocky, prideful, and indecisiveness as well. Now, we can hear Kyle Shanahan say, I won't even name a starter when Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021, when Trey was there. Hey, I don't want to name a starter. I want to leave the defense in confused or unknown, right? He will hold out on injury reports and so on and so forth just to try to keep the team next week to kind of like keep them on their toes and prepare for multiple situations, correct? Like we've seen this. And so at the end of the day, we beat Dallas last year, but let's not make a mistake as if we beat the brakes off of them. Thank God Dak Prescott felt like Santa Claus and he gifted us 2 beautiful gifts in the red zone, which stopped them from actually scoring. And unfortunately, they got Tony Pollard hurt. I know we like to say when Brock Purdy got hurt, it kind of knocked off our chances of beating the Eagles. But believe it or not, Tony Pollard was he was awesome back last year, not only running the ball, but catching out the backfield. He did wonderful things for their team. So, we got those 3 things to happen for us to, we end up winning the game. But to trade somebody who they say is a smart individual and a savant back there in the locker room and on their whiteboard to a rival, in my opinion, that has gotten better this offseason. I know we like to say we cocky and say, oh, it's just the Cowboys. And unfortunately, my brother does a lot of work for the Cowboys. And so I understand what they've done as far as trying to prepare themselves to be better than what they was the year before. And to me, hey guys, this is a bad time to transition from a guy who's been 3 years in your system to the enemy, and where we know it's all about precision, it's all about steps, it's all about timing, it's all about these things. And you got 2 cornerbacks were top 5 in man end zone coverage last year when it comes to Stephon Gilmore and Diggs. Let's just talk football. Why would we want to increase any advantage for a guy like Dan Quinn, who already has a history of knowing who you were? Because we saw last year in the playoffs, things weren't smooth. And then we're going to give this guy who has been seeing our playbook for the last 3 years over to the Dallas Cowboys, where we know this is a game of inches. To me, I'm like, okay, now you being cocky then. Okay, well, I know I said previously I don't really need this type of I can hold out on information, but now forget it. Here y'all go. Into the Cowboys, Steve Young said it best. You don't trade nobody to them, not the Cowboys. But because I can get a 4th round draft pick, and this is the highest thing I can get right now, I'm going to take it. That don't sit right with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's just, it wasn't that bad of a situation where I feel like you could have had. I mean, later on that day, what's the guy about Nate Sandfield got hurt. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You could send him to God dog or send him to Detroit, God dog it. That terrible franchise. Send him somewhere else. Hold on to him as a contingency plan for somebody who's getting hurt. But you don't send him to the Cowboys. And so, not to be so long-winded about the situation, but it's definitely layers to it. And I think we could have sent him to a team that's less fortunate than somebody like the Cowboys.
I totally agree. And no, you don't ever feel like you talk too much. You come on, dude, I appreciate you super much. So with that, it's like, okay, Trey Lance has been on our team for 3 years. He's mastered the playbook. He's a savant, that we've heard about. He's supposed to be really, really intelligent. And you're going to send him to our rival who both seasons that we've played them in the playoffs have come down to the last play of the game, and you're going to trade him who he's really, he probably can write out the playbook. He probably can sit there and write it out in a notebook, so now you're giving the opponent our secrets. Okay, sure, they can watch tape and stuff, but now you actually got the guy who can tell you the cadence, so it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me, except that they were willing to pay for his contract. And this is where I have a big problem with is if you went last year, and they have made the statements, it's been reported, if Jimmy wouldn't have gotten hurt last season, they were going to keep Jimmy last year. And whether or not he wanted to stay, they were going to try to keep Jimmy last year. Well, he got hurt. And then we go to Brock Purdy, and we know what happened from there. So then we get up to the point where Brock Purdy gets hurt, and you decide we're going to go get Sam Darnold. At that point, you have decided that Trey's not going to be he's not the way. We're going to go in a different direction. Then draft hasn't happened. All this stuff hasn't happened. Why don't you give the guy a shot then? And why don't we get an opportunity then? To get some kind of capital or something better out of our return, or at least put him in a better situation. I'm thinking the Titans would have been a good place for him to go. Atlanta would have been a good place for him to go. Now, I'm not big on sending him to anyone in the NFC, but still, it's just those are the thoughts. It's like he could have went to Denver. He could have went. I don't want to see him in Seattle, but that's again, those are thoughts. It's just like he could have went to the Texans. I think he would have done really good with the Texans. Really, really good. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. I think we kind of dropped it. We should have let him go earlier. And now that's what's happening with Bosa. It's like, are you really going to drop it on this one now? So, Steve-O, I know you probably got something to say. Jump in here real quick.
I mean, originally it started out as a Jimmy G question. The guy went from taking $26 million a year to $6 million, throws 16 touchdowns and 1 interceptions, or 4 interceptions and I don't know. So I guess the question got changed up a little bit, but what you alluded to, Brian, was that your biggest worry is the playbook. It wasn't his talent, and all the other teams that you're talking about trading him to. You have to look at their QB situation and see would we even play them. Now, my thing too is the playbook, because we did beat the Cowboys by pretty much the last play 2 years in a row. But don't you think that? I think Kyle's just a troll. That's why he traded him to Dallas. But don't you think that if Kyle knows what Trey's going to tell and Mark McCarthy, I'm not a big fan of his, but don't you think he's going to tell the team what they're going to run? And don't you think Kyle can counter that, and that's an advantage for us?
I haven't seen him do it consistently, like playing against the upper echelon teams like the Cowboys or like the Eagles. I haven't seen the explosiveness in Kyle Shanahan playbook like it once was when we played against lower level teams. So therefore, I don't feel as confident. If it was a team that wasn't as good, I understand that. But the margin of error with a team like the Cowboys and Eagles and somebody else who we may face in the NFC, I just don't think Kyle in those late game moments, in my opinion, has been as confident in his play calling over the last 4 years. I think he regresses in the playoffs when it comes to play calling instead of taking up another notch.
Well, I mean, I'll say last year, I've been watching film 3 years now, and last year I seen Kyle go deep in his bag. I was pretty impressed. But overall, I think they just did Trey a solid, sending him to a playoff team. He could have went other places, but I believe they wanted to, but whether he has a better shot in Dallas, I don't know. But it's a playoff team.
Yeah.
Let me ask John Jay, what's your thoughts? Would you say Trey Lance is more similar to Dak Prescott, or would he be more who in the league? Okay, is he more similar to Josh Allen, right? Or is he more similar to Dak Prescott? And we're not talking about the color, that's me being funny, but like his quarterback playing, like his talents. Who would he be better to sit back behind and learn?
First of all, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So many people assumed that Trey Lance was going to be the next Josh Allen, but I did not see that he was to be Josh Allen. And so when it comes to, the misconception, I think because of the way Trey Lance played, they're saying, oh, he's going to be Josh Allen. But as I started to see more and more, and one thing I started to notice this preseason alone, when he played against the Raiders. I started to realize he's not Josh Allen. He reminds me of a quarterback who takes three to 5 step drops, reads his first read, read his second read, read his third read. And I'm like, there's a quarterback that is very similar. And I was like, I didn't want to write it and say, when he was drafted, but a quarterback that plays similar to Trey Lance is Dak Prescott, 100%. Dak Prescott drops 3-step, 5-step, sometimes 7-step drops, and he surveys. He looks at read 1, read 2, read 3. Kyle Shanahan's offense does not allow you to do that. You drop back and a quick throw to your first read. And you saw Trey Lance, even though he looked horrible, he read 1, read 2, read 3. That's why he was taking the sacks, because Trey Lance is not comfortable what Jimmy did, what Brock does, what Sam does. They drop back and they quick throw to a receiver. And that's one thing that I think what happened. And call me, oh, you know what you're talking about. Just look at how Dak Prescott plays. Look at how Patrick Mahomes plays. Look how these quarterbacks that read their receivers before they make a throw. And I think Shanahan, in my opinion, does not allow his quarterbacks to do that. That's why Jimmy stayed here as long as he did, even though we were trying to say goodbye, because Jimmy knows how to read his first reads and get the ball out quickly. And Dak Prescott, he does that. He doesn't drop quick and throw it quickly. He drops 3 steps, 5 steps, stays there, looks, and throws the football. So I think that's why he went to Dallas, not because, he wants to be a Cowboy, not because he wants to take the job from Dak Prescott, is because he wants to learn with a quarterback that knows how to play the similar way. And that's why the trade started to make sense in the last couple of days for me. So that's what I think. I don't think he's Josh Allen. Josh Allen can do a lot of things that Trey Lance cannot do.
Also, and I good point made, John. And I also would say this, guys, comparing Josh Allen and what they run over there in Buffalo compared to what the 49ers run, offensive schemes matters a lot when you get to see certain quarterbacks' potential and what it is that they can do. Man, I think the Buffalo Bills are on the bottom end of the spectrum when it comes to rushing attempts per game. We're on the opposing end of the spectrum when it comes to how many attempts to rush, like rushing attempts we get. Stephon Diggs got like 180, maybe 100, like 85 targets last year. Our highest receiver target was Brandon Ayuk. It was like 115. Just thinking about those things matters so much to me. The offense, Josh Allen can go into a shotgun. He can do the hurry up if he wants to. He has a lot more control, and far as letting his arm kind of negate what he's going to do. And with the 49ers, I think my man John said the best. Like, it's kind of like a pure progression. I heard Kurt Warner say it is a lot when he look at Kyle Shanahan offense and his playbooks. He's like, man, it feels like there's no sense. They don't read, quote unquote, the defense and see where they're going to go, determining what the defense look like. They already have their mind premeditated on where they're going to go with the ball. And so, like John was saying, you got different players who just think differently. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, you got players who are route runners, like on the wide receivers, and then you got players who are like possession wide receivers, and then you have like just the athletic freaks. You know what I'm saying? And as they grow and mature into the position, they become maybe a little more diverse in their route running. And so I believe the same thing happened with Trey or with a lot of these quarterbacks. It's like, where do you go, and do you fit the system, or do they create a system around you and your talents? And so that's what I think they did in Buffalo when they saw Josh Allen. They say, know what, whatever offense we have, we go keep some of it, but for the most part, we're going to center around you. You tell me what you like and what you look like. You know what I mean? What you like to do.
What do you think, David McNider? Who would you prefer Trey Lance to work behind? Dak Prescott? Is he more similar to his skill set, or is he more like a Josh Allen? Or you could throw out a different quarterback. If you see somebody else out there that's you think that's an honorable mention.
Well, when it comes to Trey Lance, it's kind of about opportunity. And Josh Allen's young, signed to a long-term contract. The Bills he's not going anywhere. You know, the Bills aren't going to get rid of him. Dak Prescott is aging, and I honestly think he's on the decline. I mean, 12 games last year, 15 interceptions, you know, and he made a promise to not go into the double digits this year, but, you know, I don't make promises I can't keep. So, you know, I'm just speaking for myself here. But, yeah, I think Trey Lance did go to a situation that has more upside to him. Because, you know, the whole contract, I've heard what noise about Dak's not happy with his contract. And it's kind of like, you know, we don't know what's going on there because it's not necessarily leaking big time. And now we got, you know, Trey Lance traded to them. It's like he's going to get reps over there. You know, during practice, he's going to get reps. Our third string quarterback doesn't get reps in practice. I heard this explained to me. You know, our second stringer works with the scout team and, you know, emulates the quarterback on the other team we're going to play. And maybe that's all Trey Lance needed was reps, you know, in practice. But he wasn't going to get them being QB3. So over in Dallas, that's a different story. They're going to give him reps. You know, they have not only is it Ryan or Rain? I don't know how his first name is. It's
Rain Dakota Prescott.
That's right, Rain Dakota Prescott. And then they got Cooper Rush, and now they have Trey Lance. I mean, they could possibly that overall QB room. They could have the best in the league right now. You know. And our QB room took a serious step back without Trey Lance being there because now we have Brandon Allen, who hasn't done much in the league, might be able to hand the ball off and occasionally make a throw. You know, he might be able to do that. But at this point, there's nothing anyone can do about it. What happened, you know, and we're putting all our eggs in the basket of a guy that showed 8 games. You know,
the reason why
I'm not comfortable with. Like James Richard Garoppolo, we put all our eggs in a basket of a guy that showed 5 good games. And, you know, how'd that work out, right?
I mean, the bottom line why he's in Dallas is because Jerry Jones is one of the best businessmen in the NFL. He sees Twitter blowing up and you know, burning up and all the content creators hyping they get. And that's what Jerry Jones is all about. So that's why he's there.
You definitely got to give Jerry some credit. You definitely got to give him some credit. He's went out and every year you can at least count on the Cowboys to be a 500 team, you know, and that does say a lot, you know, because if you win 1 or 2 more of those games, you're more likely going into the playoffs. So you don't have to win all the games to get into the race, but you need to win enough.
Also,
Jerry, go ahead, Twin.
No, I would say, and also they draft very well. If you look at their draft grades over the last 5 to 10 years, they get a lot of really good players that gives them depth. And I think that's one thing. Will McClay is their GM. Well, he's kind of like their GM behind the scenes who be finding a lot of these diamonds in the rough. So they had a high grade on Trey earlier. And so I think they said this is a good pick. Instead of Buffalo getting Trey Lance, I'll go ahead and take him away from them and take him.
Okay, question for everybody. Do you think us as fans pushed for his trade? Do you think we made too much noise? You know, Trey needs a chance. Give Trey a chance. Trade Trey away. We started coming up with those catchy jingles. And I know the fans make noise. I know people can be heard. I think we put pressure on the locker room. I really do. What do you think, Twin? You don't think they care?
Nah, I don't think so because in 2021, I mean, the Jimmy Garoppolo thing was, to me, I mean, it's the same situation, you know, and he stayed. And, I mean, he was Jimmy Garoppolo. He had a longer tenure and more data on what it is that he has done. And people was like, Joe Montana, hey, all he does is win. Everywhere on the 4 and 3 level network, hey, his winning percentage is top 5 all time. As long as he's healthy, the 49ers, you know, they have winning seasons over and over and over again. And I don't think you can say the same thing for, you know, Brock Purdy, like David McNiner said earlier. The guy has a short, very short, you know what I'm saying? Hey, he did good for 8 games. And so we can't automatically string that out as if this is going to be his career. This is like the floor. If this is his floor, like this is what people kind of expect, and this is Brock Purdy's floor. He's like, wait a minute, man. And so I don't think the noise of the 49ers was the issue for, I mean, not the Niners, but the fans. I mean, most fans that I follow was like, hey, Brock is the starting quarterback. So there shouldn't be no argument there. Most fans that I saw was like, we really finna let Sam Darnold all of a sudden become, you know, our saving grace. And that's where I thought we got a lot of pushback from. How was it we're going to let a guy who only had 4 starts hit the back seat compared to a guy who had 50-some starts, and he has shown over a long period of time that he can be quite sketchy. And so I believe that's where most of the noise was from, not about Brock Purdy being the number 1, but mostly that number 2 position.
Okay, but do you think the Niners fans, us content creators, us, you know, fanatics, made enough noise that the Niners started saying, oh, we need to do something because we might have a divide in the locker room and a divide now in the fan base?
Again, it was like that Jimmy versus Trey 2 years ago. So I think the fans are more so like, I don't think the locker room would have been divided. I think only how the locker room would have been divided if they saw in practice that Trey actually was better than Sam Darnold, like some of the reporters were saying. Like, we don't know the nuances of what's going on in the meeting rooms. But even some of the guys who say they didn't necessarily was a fan of Trey Lance, like, hey, he's doing better. His throwing motion look better. His mechanics looking better, so on and so forth. And so if the players see that and they notice the hard work, and then they looking like, hey, coach, man, you know what I'm saying? Now, then you say, okay, I got to get him out here because now we're lying to the people saying that
Hey, coach, man.
Huh? Who said that?
I think John had a little feedback, but so yeah, that's a good point. You know, you look at the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. People didn't want to quickly move off of him. We should have, once we drafted Trey Lance, we should have said, Jimmy, bye, Felicia. You know, don't let the door hit you, right? But they kept him, and he did okay. You know, there was some, you know, I mean, if Tart wouldn't have dropped that ball, we might have been in the Super Bowl, right? But then the following year, Jimmy got hurt, you know, or was hurt, right? And we were like, okay, let him go. And we got stuck with him because we were afraid to pay him, $11 million, the injury contract settlement or whatever. And then we take him all the way to camp, and he's throwing on the side of the field. He's not throwing in the field with everybody else. He's throwing to coaches, and he's being hidden, right? We should have let him go then, but we didn't. And then, you know, we let Trey start, and, you know, we know he got hurt. And then here comes Jimmy, and everybody's like, oh, well, at least we still have Jimmy. So I think the Niners fans do make a lot of noise. I think the coaches don't really care necessarily what we say, but I do think they know we weren't happy. They know a lot of people weren't happy with the situation. It's just, you could have made them 2. You could have had Darnold right there at 3, and it would have hurt anything. But so I think we made noise. What do you think, David? Steve-O?
Sorry, I'm lagging on both of them right now. But my whole thing is like, what are they supposed to say? I mean, like, you got Dan Orlovsky who's sitting there just ripping this guy's mechanics and everything apart, and I can see some of it to an extent, but like I wouldn't like just write him off like he did. But what are the football players supposed to literally say in that situation? You know what I mean? Literally just throw the guy under the bus? Like, they have to say, you know, they have to save grace a little bit.
What do you mean by that, throwing who underneath the bus? Trey Lance?
Yeah, I mean, if he hasn't improved, like let's just say Dan Orlovsky said, like, what are they gonna, like? They can't really just come out and say that, right? They have to keep it somewhat upbeat. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think if somebody's not really playing that good or not progressing, I mean, you won't be looked at as a locker room cancer if he says no, because then we're just manipulating the situation over and over and over again. I thought anybody with 2 eyes, literally, again, this is why I say, forget the guys in the locker room. We'll just say the guys who literally said, Trey Lance first couple of years, he couldn't throw that guy doggone flat route. It was
Right,
horrible.
right.
His mechanics were bad. He threw the ball too hard. There was no touch and so on and so forth. This is all we heard for 2 years, correct?
Yeah.
And so when the reports come back, and these are people who not in the locker room, like, hey man, I see a difference. I've seen progression. For somebody who only had from end of February to May to progress and create new type of mechanics, I see it. It's actually not even changing, even when pressure is coming his way. So, okay, so what's the point of all of them lying then? You see what I'm saying? Because they have told when Trey looked bad, they like, hey man, he's not the guy. But then you got Matt Miyoko, he come and say, hey man, Trey has looked like the better number 2, or Jack Hammer saying, hey, he did, because they would sit there and say, first game last year, Matt Miyoko like, hey man, put him on the bench, put Jimmy Garoppolo back in after week 1. Matt Miyoko said that. So he will tell the truth if he feels like what it is that he's seeing is his honest opinion, and he gave that report. So if he comes this year, now why all of a sudden he got to be lying? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we'll take you for your word for it then.
I mean, reporters are one thing, but I mean, when you're a player and you're on the podium and these guys are like harping you questions that you don't exactly know, like I could say like Bryant right now, I could be like, hey, if you ask me about Bryant, I could be like, well, he's got a couple wrinkles in his sleeve right here. This other shoulder's smooth. Like, I'm not going to go out and like just dog something about somebody that you could just nitpick. I'm just nitpicking, just use an example. But like, what I mean? I'm gonna like say something positive to him, like when you're getting interviewed versus, somebody on the reporters, I think is totally a different, they can say what they want pretty much.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I lean towards whenever I play athletics, man. Like if somebody sucks, you just say, hey, man, you don't say nothing. I've seen George Kittle be on the side of just not saying anything. And then I've seen George Kittle be highly complimentary of different players. So even if you're not necessarily progressing, you don't have to say they improved at all. You just sit there and say, I have nothing to say. Similar to what he did to Sam Darnold. He's just like, and then he kept it moving. You know what I mean? He didn't try to gas him up or anything of that nature. So that's what I'm saying. I believe, what's the guy by the name? What's his last year? Fred Warner was like, hey, I think he's gotten better. He just needs what? Everybody say the same old repetition, so I just lean towards that direction.
All right, let's get everybody's thoughts on the Bosa situation. And, we kind of, all of us talk a lot, Twin. You're one of the newer guys that's been coming in. So what do you think? 35. All right.
I said it 3 weeks ago. Get that man $35 million. I'm telling you. What's the guy named Aaron Donald got like 31.8 or something of that nature, I believe. And that was 2 years ago. Hey, gas went up. Milk went up.
You don't even have a valid driver's license.
Huh?
Bosa doesn't even have a valid driver's license.
It don't matter. Look, he said he looking, inflation, I think 11% as far as on a lot of household goods. Hey, run it up, God dog it. Run it up. $35 million. If you can give Aaron Donald 31.8, I'm coming off a defensive player of the year. He's coming off of not even making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I'm 4 years younger than him probably. Hey, man, give me my 35. I want to set the market. I want them to say in 2023, Nick Bosa, highest NFL contract ever, not for a defensive end, but defensive player ever, coming off a defensive player of the year award. His daddy, his brother is saying, bro, you deserve that. This is going to be the only time you probably get this opportunity to get that. They got the money. If not, go find the money. You see what I'm saying? So that's what Nick Bosa going to say. Pay me.
I think he should be paid between 35 and 40 million. I don't see there being an issue. Right now they say there's 4 million off. So if it's 4 million off and he's at 31, just give him his 35 and let him play. What do you think, John?
When it comes to the Nick Bosa situation, like I am shocked that the Niners aggressively didn't do much as we get closer and closer to the season. Or maybe Nick Bosa is playing hardball. I don't know. Okay, negotiations with the Niners have always been quick, swift, just before the start of week 1 of preseason or during the first day of training camp. And so I'm not sure what's going on. So it was reported yesterday by some guy named Kyle Posey from the website Niners Nation that Albert Breer, who works for Sports Illustrated, on his podcast said that he has information, again, speculation, that the Niners and Bosa are $4 million apart. And I was talking about it a few days ago about the money, what is resetting the market, and I think the Niners are looking at between 29 and 30 million. That's still resetting the market. But I think Bosa wants to be the highest paid defensive line player, not just defensive end, but defensive line. And so I think he's trying to say, I want to be paid more than Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald's making about close to 33 million per season. So I think he wants to make 34. So if the Niners are 30 million and Nick Bosa's 34, $4 million, I know may hurt the Niners salary cap. Again, I don't know. But the article was saying that the Niners at this moment cannot afford to go up to 34 or 35 or plus million because of the money that they have with their salary cap. So maybe that's why the Niners are like, oh crap, we don't want to go over the salary cap. So that's the only thing I can think about by going from the report. But it's starting to realize what is really going on. Like, what's going on? Are the Niners playing hardball? Is Nick playing hardball? Because eventually, like, the season is going to start, and if Nick Bosa is not signed when the season starts, when we're at Pittsburgh, then I think people can start saying, "Oh, we can start to freak out." I'm not going to freak out if Nick Bosa is not there week one. I'm just going to lose a little bit of respect for the organization if they're playing hardball, or I'm going to lose a little bit of respect for Nick Bosa, because you got to be a team player. So eventually, like your teammates are out there playing, and you're not. So lead by example, Nick Bosa. That's just my thoughts.
All right. Yeah, I definitely think he wants to get paid more than Aaron Donald. I think he deserves it. And I'm not sure exactly what the figures are on it. I'm trying to pull the contract up right now, but he got a lot of guarantee. And that's one thing that Bosa probably wants as well. And I know just as soon as Bosa signs, somebody else will be signed, and then they're going to go up higher than him. And do they really deserve it? That's, I guess, someone's opinion. But, 15 sacks the year before, 18.5 last season. Defensive player of the year. He probably would have got the, comeback player of the year too, but we know how they do us in San Francisco. We don't seem to get those accolades or those credits. So, Steve-O, what do you think, man? I mean, like, break the bank, or what day do you think he's going to get signed? Do you think he plays week one?
Well, remember Trent Williams in his contract deal, and they paid him like $100K more than the next guy, which really wasn't the case because we have state tax. So he really, but they just did it just to appease Trent Williams, and he was all happy. I mean, it's kind of the similar situation here. I mean, I'd like the guy to take a lower monthly, or year, like 28 million, 31, somewhere around there, and take a higher guaranteed, because, everybody wants that guaranteed money, like around 82, something like that. But I think what's going on, and maybe this is why Trey Lance was traded, is because, I mean, he was only worth $9 million, and we got now a quarterback that's what, $900K. And if we're paying Bosa this 35, whatever, 40 million, like you guys are saying, then that's essentially, we don't have a rookie contract anymore. We're just paying it, or a rookie QB contract anymore. We're just paying it at a different position. And now you have the same issues as if we didn't have a rookie quarterback, and they're trying to, shimmy the rest of the team and the future as well. So I think that's what the holdup is. But I do hope it gets done like Monday or Tuesday, and he doesn't miss any games.
It's definitely interesting with the numbers, because they said we had the money, and then they released Trey Lance, and we have more money, and he's still not signed yet. So we didn't sign Robbie Gould back. That saved up a bunch of money, right? So, guys, I'm starting to think maybe we don't have the money.
I'm thinking that they budgeted lower than they thought that they would be paying. And at this point, we might need to sign a kicker. So, 33, 34 million is all we could probably afford.
And remember, when they had everything thought out, CMC wasn't part of this.
But I also think they messed their leverage up too. When you go on national television and one day you saying, look, everybody could be traded except Nick Bosa, or we're not trading him, like there's no thought. Nick, like, hey, you ain't gonna trade me. Oh, cool. I'm gonna give y'all my number then. This is it. You said you're not gonna let me go. You said I'm defensive player of the year. You said I'm generational. On the track to be a Hall of Fame player. So hey, all right, cool then. I don't gotta talk. You did all the talking for my agent. I don't think my agent is going to do is regurgitate everything y'all said about me. Every time you're going to say something negative, like far as why you shouldn't pay me, hey, pull that clip of John Lynch saying this on KNBR. Hey, pull that other clip on the State of the Union when Kyle Shanahan said this. Hey, pull that other clip, because y'all value me. I already value myself, but now y'all see the value of I don't need to even negotiate for real. This is my number. Why should I get off of it?
Guys, I'm thinking this is going to happen soon. Wishful thinking. They got to make something happen. You can't go and lose your Bosa. I don't think you were here, Twin, but I made reference. Bosa's our Hulk. When we point back, we don't have a Hulk. We have a Bosa. So, I think, with him on our team, we got a really great shot at going to the Super Bowl. Without him on our team, I don't know what we're doing. I really don't know what we're doing at all. We've accumulated all these guys, a core group. We're trying to win the chip, and now you're going to start sending people, this way and that. Okay, but if you don't get it done, I don't get it. If they get it done without Bosa, okay, I'll be quiet. I'll stop talking, for a little while, and then I'll start talking again. But it's just really.
Steve-O said it best though. He's like, once you sit there and give your DN the money of a quarterback, man, okay, you might be paying $900,000 for Brock, but that's a lot of money you playing on the defensive line. You see what I'm saying? Just for one person. And eventually we paid out so much money for these other players. All our skill position players got money for real. And you're going to start losing that depth of the team. So you are very top heavy. Like I said, we like Pam Anderson in 96. We very top heavy. You see what I'm saying? And so we got to make sure we hit now. We can't afford anybody from that top to actually take a step down. They can't get no surgeries. You see what I'm saying? We need them boys to play. So if Nick don't play, he know you didn't get a unit. What's the dude name? You didn't what's the guy? We didn't get a Robert Quinn. We didn't go pick up the none of these other free agent defensive ends.
Yannick Ngakoue.
We
didn't get none of them. We let all them guys go.
Yep.
So now he already know you don't got replacements for me because you let them walk when they were cheap too. $8 million. You like, oh, 31 million, 35 for Nick for this year. I could have got 3 defensive ends for hit and good ones too. Robert Quinn had about double-digit sacks. But hey, they're gone. He knows there's nothing they can do. Me and my brother had this joke back in the day when we was dating girls before we was like, committed or whatnot. It's like you got a hand, a glove, and you got spikes in your hand, right? Little bitty tiny spikes. And she got your scrotum right there. You are caught by the scrotum. You can't do nothing. The 49ers are trapped. Oh, look. Nick's just doing this right here. They say 28. He say, 29. He say, the price just go up. And somebody, look, he just got it right there. And every time they say something, he just squeeze them. And they like, they can't go nowhere. You see what I'm saying? And he's saying, yeah, hey, Santa Clara, I know how much these taxes is too. So that's where the extra $4 billion come from, right? So I got to squeeze you nice and tight, you know what I'm saying? And look, John Lynch over there, they hollering, boy. They squealing right now. So send some prayers to them, boy. Karma is getting them boys back kind of nasty right now.
That's funny. So Grant Cohn, if you guys have listened to him, he brought up a good point, and it might be true. He's saying that Nick Bosa has to be in Florida for so many days for his taxes. so he can say he lives there. And hey, if that's it, then okay, just let everybody know, calm down, or we're not supposed to say that so the government doesn't hear it. I don't think the government cares about that so much. They just want their taxes. So hopefully, you know, the guy comes in the next couple of days. Somebody said he should be signed Sunday, but everybody's just trying to say something, you know. So at the end of the day, go
Let me
ahead,
ask
Steve.
you, with his contract, I kind of look at it, and I can't remember how Trent Williams' contract is loaded, but let's just say this is his last year. We'll probably end up paying him a little bit, but I think we got to have Trent Williams retire. We got to get rid of Kittle off the books and Juice, like just to keep Bosa's contract. Like, is that around fair or not enough, or like, you know, I mean,
Come
this
on
affects
now.
the team.
Tell the truth, Steve-O.
This
That's what's
affects-
about to happen. And
This affects the whole team, you know what I mean? It's not just Bosa, you know, it's not just these two guys, you know what I mean? And it could be him, you know, with his contract, eventually he wants to play with his brother, and that could be a part of the deal too. Who knows?
And don't forget Brandon Ayuk. We might have to lose Brandon Ayuk, Kittle. Kittle is, I think, the third highest tight end too, and he's coming up. He like, hey man, listen here. What Hawkinson just got 17, 18 million dollars a year, Kill at 15. He said, hey man, I'm the face of the franchise. I'm the personality of the franchise. Everybody like me to do commercials. I'm out here doing tissue commercial and everything else. Hey, I think he told everybody, y'all see what Travis Kelce been doing? I think he should be getting paid like wide receiver money. You know why he bumping up Travis Kelce to get paid receiver money? You know why he think Kelce should be getting paid Devontae Adams money? Because he going to be right here. Come holler at your boy.
So this is why I have a feeling like when Ayuk comes to get paid, I think we're letting him go. I think Ronnie Bell's our replacement for Ayuk. I like Ayuk, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep him. I think now maybe Ayuk wants out now because maybe his quarterback's not here. Just maybe. So I think this year we really have to push because I think this year the core is like that's what's going to happen. We won't probably keep Juice next year. He's probably going to either retire or go to another team. Ayuk, you know, if we fumble this with Bosa, Ayuk's gone for sure. Why would Ayuk want to stay? So Kittle's not getting any younger. Trent Williams, if we don't win the Super Bowl this year, Trent Williams is definitely retiring. Why would you stay? So, you know, it's gonna get ugly. It can get ugly real quick.
That's what,
Kind of like everybody's blaming Pat McAfee for all these firings and stuff. I think it's kind of hilarious because they already Disney lost like $5 billion because of COVID, so there was already stuff happening. They've been doing it every few years, but it's kind of like Nick Bosa's in the same situation where, you know what I mean. Same as Pat McAfee, he's gonna get, but people are gonna, you know, not be happy because you're gonna lose some players.
yeah, but this was projected out, honestly, in my opinion. I thought people would have seen this coming. Eventually, if you don't win and you keep and these players who want big money, you give them the big money contracts. The whole point of that is to win while they're big money players. You see what I'm saying? But when you keep on getting there over and over again, there's a pro and a con to it. These guys are like, hey man, we made it here, so we should get rewarded this. But because we didn't actually win, now it's like, hey, 4 or 5 years, it's hard to keep a team like that together, you know, for that longer a period of time. And you got to pay the piper. And like I said, Nick Bosa said, I'm just getting what I owe. You know, Brandon, you can say, hey, I waited my turn. I want what I'm owed too. You see what I'm saying? He said, you pay, you know, Deebo Samuels. He can't stay healthy. He good every other year. I've been consistent. I've been healthy. I've been more reliable, you know.
So that was something that was being said last year. And John Jay, you know, I've been on his show, you know, in his chats a lot. And he might remember me saying this. When they're arguing about Deebo, I said, Deebo is irreplaceable, right? You can't go and make another Deebo. But Ayuk's got better hands. Ayuk doesn't drop the ball like Deebo does, you know, and it's, I don't know. It's just one of those things. So do you want more of a precise route runner or do you want just an overall dog, just somebody who just is, you know, got the talent coming out of everything, you know? It's just like Deebo, you could put him on almost any position, any team, and he's going to be Deebo. Ayuk, for him to flourish, he would need to be on a team that goes pass happy. I think he does great with our team, but I think we're underutilizing him. You put him on like a team with Cincinnati or Kansas City. You put him in LA with the Chargers. The dude is just gonna really just blow up, But I don't think
Debo's systematic too, though, B.
But
Like Debo,
doesn't
his
have the
system.
same hands though, and that's what I'm saying. Like you can get a lot of production out of Debo by being Debo, but who's the better, ideally route runner or maybe the better wide receiver? I would have to say right now it's Ayuk. It really is.
I think Debo took a step back, or it's possibly could when you got CMC. A lot of the areas that Debo kind of concentrating on, as far as the LOS, is where Debo caught the ball at. But now you kind of replacing a lot of those short area passing routes and so on and so forth with Christian McCaffrey. So once what's valuable is now like, hey, I can't be over there because Debo over here, or I can't be over here no more because CMC is over here. We know Debo passes all short game, quick little like quick passes, quick slants, bubble screens, and so on and so forth. Now it's like, I can't have Debo and CMC in the same spot because Cal's about what? Spreading the field, getting people in different areas and zones of the field so you can create that open window where you got this. There's no defender 3 to 4 yards around them, right? Because you spread it out, these concepts, to have these guys wide open. This is why they say when Kyle Shanahan draws a play up, majority of these guys are wide open. You see what I'm saying? So I believe when you do bring in somebody like CMC, which we finally saw, it went from being heavily Debo-centric to what? CMC-centric, right? And so now Brandon Ayuk is more valuable because now he has the ability to stretch the field. He can run the 7, the 8, the 9 routes. Debo ain't, come on. Debo ain't running them routes. You know what I'm saying? His route running, he ain't. Oh, no. So that's why I think we will see some of that issue with him not having the ability now to be as effective as he was when Jimmy Garoppolo was here that year when he had that all-pro type of situation.
I understand that, but I'm going to give Debo a little bit. He came in a little out of shape, overweight. He did get injured midseason last year at the beginning of the season. So I think that really stunted his production last year. Then we go and get CMC, and that's about the time Debo started coming back in, but he was really rusty. And Debo fumbled. Debo, there's a couple of moments where it's like, we didn't need that. And he's a dog. He's really, you can't replicate Debo. But I think because we have Debo, we're going to end up holding on to Debo. And I think we're going to try to say, oh, we can do it. We can find us another Ayuk. And I think right now, Ayuk's probably got the best hands on the team. And it's just, he does. He's the better wide receiver. He's more of a wide receiver than Debo. I think Debo is just a football player. Like, he doesn't, like he said, he doesn't really run routes. He runs over people. He scores. He puts his will on people. And I think that's, his attitude, his mentality, I think it goes a long way. And if you lose somebody like Debo or Kittle, I think that really changes the mentality of the team. I just think we right now we're very aggressive and hard. We're a really tough team to play, and if we lose that, we're going to go into more of a finesse team. And I don't know if that's necessarily what we are built to do.
We're going to take the identity of our quarterback, though. That's what most teams usually do. Most teams don't have a plethora of weapons that we do have, and so they take on the identity of the quarterback. So Brock is now considered the real deal, our franchise player. So they're just going to be more weight on him and his ability to kind of showcase his talents. And he has to continue to rise, even if pieces start to leave away from the 49ers. He's going to have to continue to grow and show that this is why Kyle made that commitment to him and that he's able to take this team to another level, even if we don't have these aggressive pieces around him.
Everybody, guys, thanks for coming.
Can
Steve,
I ask a question?
Yeah, I brought you in. I wanted to say hi to you, Danielle. Go ahead.
Hi, Tweet. Hi, Steve-O. Hi, guys.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien tú. Is the Bosa situation because he wants long term, but the Niners are looking more short term? That's why it's kind of holding up?
I think, honestly, he wants a shorter term contract so he can get paid a third time. Like, that's just what I understand.
Yeah, I heard he was offered a 6. He wanted 5, but I vaguely read that, so I'm not exactly sure.
Do you guys think, like, I'm not hating on Bosa, you know, he's in the mob. I don't speak against him, but do you believe like he's really worth the contract? Like he doesn't show the same stuff in the playoffs. So do you
I
think
think he
he's
got
worth
gassed.
it though?
I think he got gassed, and I don't think he had help last year. So that's why when he got to the playoffs, he carried the team all the way there. And with him getting 18.5 sacks and no one else on the team getting anywhere closer to that, I think he was just out of breath at the end.
I honestly think it's money. I think that's what it boils down to. How long it is. I would like to see Bosa in a Niner uniform his whole career, but the realistic is it's a business, and we don't know if that's going to happen. But at this point, we do have some big contracts coming up, and maybe the Niners are looking at that $4 million like that could cost us a player. It's going to make some tough decisions going forward. But those tough decisions, again, it's a business. We have like George Kittle, who's aging, Trent Williams, who's aging. We have a few players that aren't going to be around for the long-term part of Nick Bosa's contract. So honestly, look at it like it's cut and dry,
What do you think? What do you think, Twin?
I'm kind of like with David McNiner. Like we can't keep everybody, and this is going to be the price of business. What they say, you got to pay the piper, man. And this is why it's so important that we need to win with these type of guys on our squad. So, Prague Marate, get it together, man. Go ahead, get it done. Either go bite the bullet. He ain't budging again. He ain't budging. Just go ahead, give him that money, man. If not, man, it's gonna be we will continue to be the most entertaining team throughout the rest of the goddamn season.
Yep.
Preach, Twin.
And also, like, just to give you my feedback, eventually, like, if you can't get a contract done, like you have to make like a determination. Like, is it worth paying Bosa what he wants, or even though Kyle and John said we're not going to trade him, but there has to be a point where, like, all right, are we going to do this like past week 5, past week 6? Like eventually it's going to get like just idiotic, and like it's not going to be. So they got to actually figure out, is it worth trying to sign him or not? So I don't think we're going to ever get to that point, but eventually you do have to be, as an organization, like, are we going to just continue to try to get a contract during the season? So like I know they said they're not going to trade him, but eventually you do have to look at the well-being of the team, and if paying Nick Bosa is going to hurt the team long term, again, I don't think it's going to happen, but there comes a point where they're like, wait, maybe we just have to move away from them, because when, like, are they going to wait till like when we're playing the Eagles and then we're still negotiating? Because eventually it's going to get just stupid, and at that point.
Y'all think he'll franchise? You think they'll franchise tag him?
Nope.
And if so,
So that's not out of the question yet, right? We could still franchise him, right?
I mean,
He's under contract for 1 more year, then we could franchise him twice.
Okay, so we have
But
to
have
him
you
go.
John Lynch, man, he's a former player. He's not going to use that leverage.
So what if he doesn't sign his contract? He can hold out till week 8, and I think he would be back week 9 or whatnot. He gets fined all that time or something like that. It's going to be really bad for him. But then if he does come in, he could be disgruntled, or maybe we just don't play him at all. But then the final season, like once we get him into camp, if we decide to give him a contract, this is my point, couldn't we then trade the contract the following season if we can't really afford it? Like, we just got to get him in right now, right? Just like get him to sign anything. And then if you're really not happy, like, give him $40 million, right? And if you're really not happy, then next year you can let him go, right? So why can't they word that into it where, like, you guys know what I'm saying? Like, let's get you here this season, you know, like, and if
That's
you wanna
probably
go-
within the contract though. Like that's what he's negotiating, the language in trading, and you know what I'm saying? That's probably what he's doing. Like, nah, because y'all remember his dad was a stickler for Joe's Bosa contracts as well. And so I think they're making sure they're crossing the T's and dotting their I's on those type of situations.
That's
Twin,
them
do you think
Bosa brothers.
let's ask Danielle. Danielle, do you think Bosa wants to be here long term?
I think he does, but it's a business. So, but I think he does want to be here long term.
I think he wants to be Mr. 49er. And I think you're right, Twin. I think maybe it's just some of the wording that they have in the contract. Maybe he doesn't want them to have a trade clause. Maybe he wants to have a trade clause, you know, where kind of like what Jimmy said, you know, if you're going to trade me, I want to be able to okay it. You know, I'm not going to I'm not going to Cleveland. I'm not going to Jacksonville. You know, but if he went to Jacksonville, oh my gosh, he could be really, really dangerous there. But yeah, guys. Okay, so final thoughts, everybody. I'm going to say it. Pay Bosa. Let's get him done. Let's not worry about our kicker just yet. It sounds like Moody's recovering, but he's probably not going to play week 1. Sounds like Kyle wants to hold him out, and I'm just really excited about the whole thing. Bring Corey on real quick. We're going to get out of here in a few minutes, but let's Steve, what's your thoughts on the whole situation? Your final thoughts. We're going to go around the table. Then Twin and David, Daniel, John, and Corey. And again, guys, thanks for coming. It's been about 2 hours, and we're gonna have a great Saturday. I have 2 fantasy football drafts I got to get to, and I have a barbecue, so I'm gonna be very busy today. But anytime you guys ever go live, you need help, you want somebody, just let me know. I'll be there. But Steve-O, let's go with you first. What's your thoughts? Pay Bosa.
Yeah. Just remember, it's a 17-game season now, soon to be 18 in a few years probably. That's tough for all the players on every team. That doesn't help anybody, especially when you have a group of veteran players. We got a handful, even, Armstead's getting his issues now. It doesn't help a older team, and especially when they play a physical brand of football, and especially when you have a lot of travel. So, I mean, this doesn't help us at all. It doesn't help a lot of teams, but it is what it is. It's just a bigger hurdle than we have. And, I got a big complaint. I thought 8 o'clock was bad, but this 7 o'clock stuff, come on, man. You're killing me here.
Hey, any day, you're a little stronger, a little wiser. And if you can get up and you got, something nice in your cup, it helps. I appreciate everybody. I thought I'd work with the time a little bit, because maybe if I go a little earlier, I could get people like Twin on and other people, back east on, and, give you a little bit more time in your day as well. Cause I do appreciate everybody coming. It's fun to talk. So,
happy Labor Day. See you guys later.
All right. Bye.
For sure.
Later, Steve-O.
Twin, thank you again for coming. What's your thoughts, man?
I think this is a situation that's it's just going to be time related, man. Eventually, he'll come in there, but he will hold them hostage for a little while, and hopefully, like I say, he'll get in there. My thing is, we just can't suffer injuries, unfortunately, and right now, that's a part of the situation with our team. We don't have the depth, so hopefully, we just stay healthy, man. We have to stay healthy, because if we don't stay healthy, man, I think that's where we'll see our biggest issue. So, Bosa, do your thing. We know you'll wait to get that change. I just pray karma don't get us. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I hope karma don't bite us back on the booty, man, because we've been doing some stuff that's like head scratching worthy. You know what I mean? And I'm a man that believes that karma do come back around, and right when you don't expect it to. So that's just my 2 cents on that situation. So, man, yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good
Twin,
one.
you rock.
I what?
You rock, Twin. You rock.
Oh, thank you, sis. Don't make me cry. But appreciate you for you guys, man, for having me on. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Go watch TCU versus Colorado. See what primetime go do. You know what I mean? Big ups to you, BC, Danielle, David McNiner. What up, though, Corey? How you doing, my guy? What up, John Jay? Hope y'all have a beautiful evening, man. Y'all take it easy. Take care of yourselves.
Colorado gonna beat TCU.
Hey, real quick before you leave, You know Karma, right? Karma,
Yeah.
everybody's ran into Karma, right? But did you know she has a sister? And her sister's name is Becky. So watch out, okay? Because if Karma don't get you, Becky will.
Becky will. Hey, we back in the culture. You say Becky with the good hair, boy. She gonna come snatch you up. But
I appreciate you, Twin.
all right, y'all take it easy. Have a good one.
Later,
Thank
Twin.
you. John Jay, what's your thoughts, buddy?
Well, speaking of what Twin said, I'm actually watching Colorado TCU. I got TCU, no disrespect to Colorado. But all I have to say about this, I'm glad football's back, so we can just stop talking about, the same old, same old. I do think worst case scenario, like again, I don't do predictions, but I think worst case scenario that probably Nick Bosa will get signed just before week 1. I'm not sure if he'll play the full game against, but I think we'll have the whole team together by week 2. But I'm just happy football's back. I'm also going to watch a lot of college football today. College football is back, so I'm going to be just watching college football, be a couch potato. Let's go TCU Horned Frogs.
Horned Frogs, love it. Danielle, thank you so much for coming. Anytime you ever
Of course, Brian, you are my guy. That's the boo, y'all.
Hey, I really do appreciate you. Anytime you want to come on, you just let me know. You're really polite. You're great. You got a really great attitude. So, what are your thoughts on the Niners? You want to tell us a little bit your thoughts on the Pittsburgh game? Just overall,
We're gonna beat the Pittsburgh Squealers. Let's get that clear. The Pittsburgh Squealers ain't been none since 1970. Ain't okay. We ain't worried about them Squealers. But I'm praying. My only thing I want is that Quest for Six gone. But I feel we can do it. It's all about USC Trojans, by the way, the greatest college ever. And Brian, you awesome. You rock. Just know I got you guys. And go Niners. Pay Bosa. Right. If you got to put it on the EBT card, just get a man his money, man.
Agreed.
Awesome. Yeah, just pay him. Hashtag, if you guys go on Twitter today, just put hashtag pay Bosa and just let it drop, and if I see it, I will definitely retweet it because we need to get him paid. Corey Davis, look at you, man. Bright, beautiful, just like every day. Thank you for coming, buddy. How are you doing? And sorry, we're just about ready to wrap up, but what's your thoughts on paying Bosa, the Niners Pittsburgh game, and any other things that you got going on that you want to tell anybody about?
I'm sorry. I really nothing. I was supposed to be going to Vita, but I wasn't feeling good, so this was it this morning. So I stayed in bed, stayed asleep. But I sometimes wish I was a billionaire.
Like that Bruno Mars song, I wish I was a billionaire.
I wish I was a billionaire so I could go to Bosa, I'd go to him and his agent or whoever and say, look, you take whatever the Niners offer you and I'll double it. I'll pay you the other half. And so let's go ahead and sign the contract. And all I want you to do is get sacks, and you can come either sponsor my channel or something. Hey.
Yeah. Wasn't that kind of like what Eddie did back in the day? He's like, here, this is how much you're getting paid. But then he took care of your family, like he actually knew what your kids' names was and, your uncle. And like Eddie was a member of your family. He brought you in. When you became a 49er, you became a member of his family. So I don't understand why we can't do that now. It's like, hey, you want a new car? Let's get you a new car. You don't have to pay for it. I'll pay for it. I'm the owner. I'll take care of you, right? Like, I want to see more like that kind of stuff happening. And I just don't understand why the league would frown upon it or something like, your mama wants a house? Who wants a house? Like I like to see Jed York walk in and be like, who here's bought their mama a house? Like look over there at Brock Purdy and say, I know you're only making a, 900,000 or something like that. Why don't you go shopping with your mama and find out what house she wants to buy, and you send us a picture, give us the real estate's name, and the realtor's name, and we're going to make it happen. I mean, why can't we do this? This is, I don't know.
So it's crazy. I'm hoping he's still signed. I still hope. I wonder who's gonna give in. I wish the 49ers to give in on it. And just go ahead and sign to make the man happy. But I know, like some people say, we gotta think about the other players, how we gonna keep them and stuff. But right now, we need Bosa. I want Bosa. And yes, today I'm gonna be just chilling.
All right. Well, you definitely take it easy. You know how to reach out to me. I'll contact you later and let you know what my draft order was or picks were. David, what you got going on? What's your thoughts, buddy, about this current situation? Again, if you can go on Twitter and put hashtag Peyton Bosa, if I see it, I can retweet it. We need to get this man. We need to get him signed.
They just need to get it done. If the man wants 35, he wants 35. It's not like you're going to be keeping everybody moving forward. Let's be real here. On top of that, we're going to have some first round picks and second round picks, which seems to be a rare thing these days, and it's not like it's a win now situation. The Niners are thinking long term, and whoever scouts the players from the 4th round on needs to be scouting the first 3 rounds, because the first 3 rounds has been a struggle for Kyle and Lynch. Let your scouts do their job, and at this point, just pay the man. He wants 35, offer 34, because then that'll save you that $1 million so you can get a kicker.
Oh, well, something just broke.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to have to go, guys. I have little ones that broke a glass. I don't know if you heard it or not, but
I heard it.
yeah,
Yep.
it's time to go. So MICKUIMOUSE. Thanks for coming, everybody. It's been fun, and we will see you tomorrow. Please check out John Jay, The Ultimate Report, Corey Davis, Lockdown, Davis Talk, and David McNiner. You can find us. We'll have links in the description later. Again, sorry to run, but Dad did his calling. So guys, thank you again for coming, and we will see you again. Hopefully we will have a Bosa signing very soon. You guys have a great day. Go Niners.
Go Niners and F the Lamb.
Go 49ers and stay faithful.
Niners all day.